ATP, what it do with your boy Clay More Rain? Yeah, I'm back at you guys with another one. Shout out to all my subscribers. If this is the first time tapping into the content, I do invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit your bell icons as well so you all get alerts when all this content is dropping. So Jose Benavidez Sr. does an interview. Well, I believe it was with Mill City. Yeah, it was definitely with Mill City. My brother Mill City did a great interview with Jose Benavidez Sr. Speaking to him of the new situation, or the new arrangement that's been made, where David Benavidez now seems to have had a change of heart. Well, Team Benavidez seems to have had a change of heart as far as where they would be willing to perform and exactly what their next steps would be. Guys, I don't want to go down memory lane too far. I've spoken about this enough, but just a quick some summarize version of it. David Benavidez, on the back end of a great victory and great performance against David Morrell earlier this year in February, took a trip out to Saudi Arabia, was pursuing an opportunity to potentially fight the winner of Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, and ultimately abruptly put those negotiations on halt as he left Saudi Arabia in the middle of that day, out the blue. And we saw a lot of things transpire between here and there, but mainly to get to the point that David Benavidez and Team Benavidez, namely really Samson Leakowitz, to be honest with you, communicated that they had no more interest or had no interest of actually making or arranging any type of fights via Riyadh or in Riyadh because of the lack of audience, lack of crowd, and basically stated that Riyadh season was not selling pay-per-views, didn't do well as far as marketing boxing was concerned, and they wanted to have those fights in America, which I understood. Right, it makes sense that you'd want to perform in your hometown, your own home city, and I agree with that. I believe that the PBC events that happen in the States are way more packed out in comparison to what happens in Riyadh. Is more of a avid probably boxing fan, especially for people like Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez, or Tank Davis. But ultimately, keeping in mind, I want to keep in perspective that at the end of the day, the titles, the opportunity, the champion that they wanted to fight was a champion who was fighting over there in Riyadh, right? Namely, either Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, either one of those guys, who currently at that time were the undisputed light heavyweight champions, were offering the opportunity to David Benavidez. So it did seem kind of weird that they would try to dictate the terms and the conditions and how these guys would defend their undisputed championships and bring it into his hometown, to their backyard, to David Benavidez, Team Benavidez's backyard, and that this was going to be it or nothing at all. We saw Mauricio Suleiman forced to vacate the Dmitry Bivol to either vacate or be stripped or defend the belt, even though there was a trilogy agreed upon between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. Dmitry Bivol ultimately ended up going ahead and vacating that WBC title, and we saw David Benavidez elevated to a WBC champion. So in the midst of that time, David Benavidez and Jose Benavidez and Samson Leakowitz communicated what the next steps would be for Team Benavidez now that they had this newfound glory and momentum behind them, that they would be looking to make a fight with either Caleb Smith, Anthony Yardy, or even considering going up to the cruiserweight division to fight Zurdo Ramirez for his unified titles that he had up there. Word going out that offer went out to Caleb Smith to fight David Benavidez, and this fight would happen in Las Vegas. Caleb Smith seemed interested in it, to be honest with you, when you watch the interview, and confirmed by Eddie Hearn that he did receive the offer and that he was waiting to come back into the UK to discuss with Caleb Smith what their next move was going to be. To be honest with you, I started to become a little optimistic. It looked like the fight was going to get put together, and it looked like, in hindsight, the decision wasn't going to age like milk, that it was going to actually age like wine. Well, to our own shock, we saw a few days ago an announcement getting made by Turki Al-Sheikh that it would be official that David Benavidez would actually be fighting Anthony Yarde in Riyadh. Riyadh? Of course, that threw everybody off, threw me off, of course. And looking deeper into it, finding out that Caleb Smith walked away from the opportunity to fight David Benavidez. The offer wasn't lucrative enough. And Caleb Smith wasn't going to go ahead and put his opportunity that was really there to fight the winner between Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev in jeopardy for something that wasn't going to be financially super beneficial to him. So looks like Caleb Smith is going to hang back a little bit. I don't know if he's going to take a fight in between time, but it seems like he's babysitting his opportunity and his position that he currently holds in the light heavyweight division. And David Benavidez seemed to be running out of options, either moving up to fight Zurdo Ramirez, which I'm hearing rumors of potential unifications happening between Zurdo Ramirez and Jai Opetaia, or even a Jake Paul potentially. Very low chance of, but still there, being that Jake Paul has just now been sent into the WBA sanctioning body rankings, somewhere around 14 or 15 in those rankings. A lot of money fighting Jake Paul. Wouldn't be shocked at all to see Zurdo Ramirez take that opportunity. Either way, David Benavidez doesn't seem to be the next and best opportunity for Zurdo Ramirez and Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. Seems like potentially the Benavidez's hands may have been tied, and they ultimately may have to have conceded the fact that they don't have the leverage, that they aren't the A side in this, and to take the next best opportunity that was also going to be lucrative. It seems like they've ended up agreeing to fight on a Turkey Al-Sheikh card in Riyadh season. The interview today with Mill City was an interesting interview because all of a sudden you started to see Senior become very, very open-minded about dealing with Turkey Al-Sheikh in Riyadh season. Not only in dealing with them, because that may be understating it. Because to say that he was just interested in, just conceding to dealing with them would make it sound like, this one thing is a one-off thing. No, in fact, Senior doubled down and said that he knew that this right here was going to be a litmus test for Saudi Arabia, and that, hopefully on the back end of a very excited fight, like he stated, no Tom and Jerry antics here. He plans and hopes to attract more collaborations between Turkey Al-Sheikh Riyadh season and the PBC. Well, yes, of course, the Benavidez team, very grateful to Al Heyman and the PBC, and wanted to make sure that they involved them in every aspect of their career. As a matter of fact, he went in to state that he wants to thank the PBC for getting him this far, working with them to get them to this point. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't like to look too deep into things at times, but I will say that on face value, just hearing him say that, you heard a little bit of an understanding that this was about as far as the PBC was going to be able to get Team Benavidez in the light heavyweight division, and that, ultimately they were so grateful to get them up to this point. But, in order for them to move forward with their career and chase legacy and chase greatness, it looks like Turkey Al-Sheikh had all the cards, which I agree with. And I said from the beginning that the undisputed light heavyweight championship was with Turkey Al-Sheikh. The movement in that division was via Turkey Al-Sheikh. Even with the signing of Canelo Alvarez, rips at new and big opportunities that Riyadh season will be able to provide David Benavidez, is you have to ask yourself a question. Outside of 168, what does the PBC really have to offer David Benavidez outside of managing their deals with somebody like Riyadh and making sure that, they're getting their fair share of those deals? It didn't seem like there was a lot of options for David Benavidez. And, listen, man, reality is a mean woman sometimes, right? And the reality of the situation is, if you're going to, excuse me, if you're going to move forward and try to become undisputed, try to unify, try to do those things, then you need to work with the promoters that control the interest in those conversations. So it looks like finally Team Benavidez is conceding to the idea that there's no getting around this situation. And they decided to participate in the boxing game at where it's at, instead of trying to dictate the terms and pull boxing away from the Saudis, which seems very difficult to do, especially with the big paydays that they can offer fighters when in Rome, right? Which is good for boxing, because it opens up now to the biggest fights being made in the light heavyweight division, and we can see some unifications. And who knows, maybe we can see Canelo Alvarez even getting involved in the conversation as well, being that we know he has a multiple fight deal with Turkey Al-Sheikh. Who knows what can come up out of it, right? Either way, as a boxing fan, boxing is better off today than it was days ago, when it seemed as if David Benavidez was on the verge of being blackballed or iced out, frozen out of the light heavyweight division, the division which he's chosen to compete in. We'll see and watch as things develop. We see that David Benavidez he's now been introduced to the Undisputed video game, now has a character of himself in there, and even a packet, I believe it's a monster package or something, or Team Benavidez monster, the monster, I don't know, something like that with the video game. You see him being merged into Riyadh season and what Riyadh season is offering the boxing space, which is great for the big fights, but it does speak a little bit towards the status of the PBC and the ability for the PBC to facilitate the biggest opportunities for their biggest stars. We don't know what that's going to look like for Gervonta Tank Davis as well, who has an announcement that we're waiting on as far as his rematch with Lamont Roach. It's interesting. We'll see how things maneuver and move over there, and even with Samson Leakowitz, to see how he plans on moving now that he's kind of like, made things a little personal at times. I think with Turkey Al-Sheikh, as far as speaking on their ability to deliver the biggest events, and here you are now with your fighter in David Benavidez, humbly asking for an opportunity and getting an opportunity, right? But you guys let me know what you think now, being that Team Benavidez now not only looking to have this one-off fight with Anthony Yarde, but actually looking to have more, using this as a litmus test or as a beginning of a long-term relationship with Riyadh season now. And what does that look like? Is this just going to be a huge collaboration going on between the PBC and Riyadh season? How long does that collaboration run its course before Team Benavidez decides that, ultimately, I might not need two big-time promoters behind me at this point, unless, both of them are working towards getting me opportunities. Why so many hands in the pot, right? We'll see how that turns out. Let me know what you think in the comment section. It's your boy Rain. Once again, thank you to all my subscribers. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. If it's your first time tapping into the content, take an opportunity to go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon notification so you are getting those notifications when we're dropping videos like this. Guys, remember, we are live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday evenings at 9:30 in the evening, and on Wednesday and Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. We go at it and build on all the new and great things that are developing in the boxing space. It's your boy Rain. Until the next one, guys. At this point, we out.